Today I wanted to talk a bit about a film that I know I actually have spoken about some years ago. But I felt like, considering last week, of my Raging Bull, I figured, pretty good to just speak about another film that has a notable anniversary from the same director. And so I'm talking about the 35th anniversary of Goodfellas. Now, in short, it's about Henry Hill, who's in the mob, and see his life over the decades where he gets into the mob, and you see the various ups as well as downs uh, through the course of many, many years. And yeah, Ray Liotta plays Henry Hill. Jimmy Conway is played by Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci plays Tommy DeVito. Lorraine Bracco plays Henry's wife, and yeah, everybody in this film does a great job. I love this. Yeah, she plays Karen, Lorraine Bracco. I don't know why I kind of had a bit of a brain fart or whatever. But yeah, everybody in the film does a great job. This is something that kind of came with this letter from Martin Scorsese. In the late 80s, he read a book called Wise Guy, written by a journalist named Nick Pileggi. I was enthralled, and when I put it down, I already made it in my mind that I would make it into a movie. I knew right away how I wanted to make it. I wanted the speed and the feel of it to reflect the way of life in the book. I had to feel like I was going to spin out of control any moment, just like the lives led by Henry Hill and his friends. They broke all the rules, and yeah. So the movie needed to attempt to do the same, multiple narrations, freeze frames, non-stop popular music on the soundtrack, powering and pushing the action forward. And cinch with the drugs and sex, adrenaline, and euphoria of so much money, so much plunder, as the ancients called it, so much unchecked power, so much plunder, as the ancients called it, yeah. And I needed to feel abundant. Every frame had to be packed with motion and detail so that the audience would suddenly find itself immersed in the way of life, the clothes, the bars, the restaurants, and the nightclubs and apartments, the gestures, the food, the sense of humor, the values, all of it. It was a way of life that I'd seen around me when I was young. I had touched on it some in of my previous pictures, and this time I wanted it to come from another angle. To pull it off, I needed the right collaborators. Had a brilliant team, including the DP, Michael Volumus, my longtime friend and editor, Thelma Schoonmaker, Nick Pileggi himself, and a brilliant cast of actresses of Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Lorraine Bracco, Paul Savino, right down to the smallest walk-on. And I'm not forgetting my mother and father. Goodfellas was a great challenge, a wonderful adventure, and a picture that I'm very proud of to have made. And very iconic moment of the film. Yeah, this film was co-written by Scorsese, which is notable to a good degree because, well, Scorsese doesn't really write too many films that he does, but yeah. Yeah, rewatched this and I just really love it, you know. And there's Scorsese with his beard. Obviously, his mother played Tommy's mom, and then see Scorsese's father is like a made man. He's in a prison scene when uh, Henry and some of the other guys go to prison for some years. They get out, but still, you know, it's amazing just to see what all happens. You know, no matter how many times you see this, it's always interesting, and quite a ride. This film, you know, it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and Scorsese got nominated for 2 for adapted screenplay and directing. Film was up for Best Picture. Those all went to Dances with Wolves, which is a fine film, but you know, people, they really look at this and they're like, yeah, this was like a better movie. Um, um, Godfather 3 came out that year, but you know, by that point, you know, people were like, the third Godfather wasn't that great, and it isn't as good as the first two, but I know I've talked about Godfather 3. I still think it's a fine film. Always have, but yeah, this I think should have won Best Picture and Director for sure. Lorraine Bracco was nominated for Supporting Actress. I believe it was up for editing also. Maybe because they don't really tell you all what it's nominated for. Just that it was nominated for 6 Oscars, and then Joe Pesci won Best Supporting Actor, which shocked him. He didn't believe for a second he could ever win. So when he finally got up on stage, he just said, it was my privilege, thank you, and walked off because he had nothing prepared. He thought Graham Greene was going to win for Dances with Wolves, and I saw the making of Dances with Wolves, and he said, I forget who he said he thought he was going to win, but I thought so was going to win. But we were all shocked when Joe Pesci won. I heard he thought I was going to win. So Pacino was nominated that year for Dick Tracy for supporting actor, and that would have been something, maybe he thought Joe Pesci was going to win, or the other nominee. Who knows? But yeah, this is obviously about gangsters. I know not everybody loves gangster movies, and that's all fine. I enjoy them. I think they're fine. Um, you know, I think a film like this, it is might be perhaps to some an acquired taste, but yeah, I don't have the 4K version, though I know that is out, but yeah, this is an excellent edition. I don't know if you could necessarily be able to get this with the book as well. This came out 2015, so this was when it was 25 years old. Yeah, I thought that was when they released this, but I wanted to make sure that way I'm not just saying something that I thought was true, but then it wasn't. But yeah. Yeah, this is quite the film. But But yeah, that book, has it talks about the film's uh, far-reaching influence and some interesting facts about some of the stuff that happened, like during the making of it. And of course, you have the classic stuff of that all the stuff like on any previous release of the Blu-ray and also the 2 disc DVD. You have all those features, but we also have a new documentary with the director, cast, and so your all-time favorite movie gangsters. Um, yeah, it also has like some like a Looney Tunes cartoon sorts. At least one. I haven't watched uh, those in a while, so I think they had a couple, but they at least have one for sure. Uh, and some of the Warner Brothers stuff releases, they do that. Though, particularly with like Casablanca and the Maltese Falcon and stuff like that, they often will have like newsreel of the time that the movie would have come out. You could see like actual newsreel that you would watch in the theater and cartoon short and other things. So yeah, sometimes you can. It seems like you get the experience of like the '40s and stuff. Or that's not the case here, but it's still cool that you'd have at least a cartoon, a Looney Tunes cartoon in this. But yeah, yeah, that's really all I have to say, honestly. Good movie, in my opinion. But also, yeah, there's that. Same as the book, back of the book. But yeah, also, yeah, Spider in the film, would go on to play Christopher in The Sopranos. So yeah, there you go. And Lorraine Bracco was also in The Sopranos as Tony Soprano's therapist. So yeah, Goodfellas, good film. Uh, should have won Best Director and Picture, in addition to Supporting Actor. I think some people I've read in some places that Ray Liotta should have been up for Best Actor, and I do agree. You would have been good to have been nominated. Um, Whether he would have won is a different story, but I know Scorsese said he wished he had worked with Ray Liotta more than just the one time before he passed away, and the two of them had talked about doing other things, but nothing ever really aligned, or perhaps he was not interested in a certain part that he would have been offered. Like maybe he thought the script was good, but wanted another part or played another character, or but Scorsese probably had somebody else in mind, and so it's like, well, maybe someday we'll um work on something else. But yeah, the only time they worked together, but you know what? Hey, it worked, and that's always a good thing when two people in the movie world they come together, like directing and acting, and it works. It's what you want. De Niro and Scorsese have made many films together. I believe they've worked like 10 times or so now, and yeah, they do excellent work. Joe Pesci does a great job, deserve the Oscar, and yeah, everybody in this film does great work. Let's just be very broad. So yeah, overall gist of Goodfellas, I enjoy it. Um, I know there are, again, people who aren't fond of gangster films, so they might not, people might not enjoy this, and that's fine. But if you've seen this film, do you enjoy it? Uh, yes or no? Um, Maybe somewhere in between, like there are things about the movie that are good, but then you might think other things are not so good. And if you want to give your thoughts, you can. But yeah, I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend, and I'll see you all next time. And it is April, so hope you all have a great month. Take care. Bye.